Hello guys, what is up? This is Warka Karim. Welcome to my channel once more again. So in this video, I'm just gonna to give you an introduction to what earth geometry is all about. So I'm just gonna get into the basics of what earth geometry is all about. Now, before I go any further, so you guys have been actually amazing. For those who are subscribing to my channel, you are sharing, you are liking my video. I would like to say thank you so much. Without you guys, I actually couldn't do anything any more of that alone. I couldn't just, achieve that. Okay, so it's been actually a grateful journey for me, guys. You have been actually so supportive since the one I started, uploading my videos both in YouTube and also Facebook and also TikTok. So thank you so much. Okay, so now I want to introduce to you what is earth geometry. Okay, so most of you probably who have been actually to grade 12 and obviously maybe you managed to pass mathematics, maybe some of you didn't manage to pass mathematics. And my message is to most of us who actually are planning to go back to school. Maybe you want to actually write your mathematics and you want to actually have your results, very clear results. Maybe you want to have a merit or even a distinction. Okay, so this video is primarily for you guys. Okay, so now what is earth geometry? Okay, so earth geometry Okay, so earth geometry. Okay, so this is a kind of a topic, or rather a branch of mathematics somehow under geometry, which specifically deals with the location of points on the Earth surface. It also deals with the distance between two points on the Earth surface. Okay, and also earth geometry helps us to understand how time can also be calculated. Okay. So we need to understand what time is it in a particular place which we are actually living. Okay, and if you have noticed that it's quite very interesting, because if you're looking at, maybe if you've got a friend who is in China or maybe in the USA or maybe in UK, okay, and for example me who is actually in Zambia here in Africa, so when I ask you maybe the time, I ask the time it is, okay, in China, okay, and what time it is here in Zambia, is that the time is going to actually be different. Okay, now for you to understand how you can go, how you can get to understand what makes the time differences. Okay, and the reason is simple to that. So the time differences are dependent on the location of those points, or even the two countries I'm actually trying to refer to. Okay, so now when you're looking at earth geometry, we are trying to understand how to calculate. Okay, how to calculate. So one, okay, distance those are the major questions, or rather some of the objectives that you should be able to actually understand. Okay, so if you're looking at, for example, distance between two points on the surface of the earth, and then also the time between two places, okay, and then also how to identify the location in terms of collecting the points, either the latitudes or even the longitudes. Okay, So make sure that we understand those three main points, okay? And whatever is going to actually come or fall into those 3 points, they are also very cardinal that I'll explain in the second part of this video. Okay? Okay, so now what you can see now on the board is that we have this imaginary earth, okay? The imaginary earth, we have this imaginary earth, for example, as you can see on the board. Now, what you need to understand is that this is an imaginary earth, okay? So you can have these imaginary points on the surface of the earth. And what's going to happen now is that you see now the lines, okay, the grid of lines, okay. Now, what this entails you is that when you are studying earth geometry as a topic, what you're supposed to do is, or rather understand, is that we are trying to imagine how the surface of the earth looks like. So the surface of the earth is that we compare it with the grid of lines that you have seen normally when you are dealing with the graphical, works. Let's say, for example, a quadratic or even just the points on the graph paper. Okay, so the graph paper has got like the horizontal lines and also the vertical lines that you have seen, and it is the same principle that also underlines how we actually collect or rather name the points on the surface of the earth. Now, with that said also is that the horizontal lines, okay, they are called the latitude, okay, so these lines, okay, they are called the latitudes, okay. Now, what you must be able to understand is that the latitudes are actually divided in two equal parts, okay. So there is the upper part, which is the northern part of the earth, and the southern part of the earth, meaning that these are called latitudes, okay. So they run from, or they are measured from north and south, okay. So make sure you take the key points and fundamentals principles that the latitudes are either north or south, okay. And then you can now see clearly on the diagram that we have the lines that run from north to south, okay, or either south to north. So these lines, as you can see them, they are kind of vertical lines, okay? They are vertical lines, meaning that they are also divided by a line at the middle of the earth, like at this center, okay? Or should I say this one there? So what that entails is that even on these lines, we are calling that the vertical lines, they are actually called the longitude, okay? So these are what we call the longitudes, okay? Now, the longitudes are also divided into two equal parts, meaning that it is either you are referring to the western part of the longitude or even the eastern part of the longitude, okay? So you've got to be very much careful when it comes to identify points on the surface of the earth which we are actually just imagining, okay? So from there now, folks, I've talked about two major lines that we're supposed to understand, okay? So the latitudes and the longitudes, okay? So you're saying, okay. Now, what you're supposed to understand is when you're looking at the latitudes, okay? So the latitudes runs from either east or west. Okay, so now we're saying that the latitudes, they are measured from north or south, okay? But specifically, these lines, the lines, they run from east or west, okay? That's the most important thing that we need to understand. So whenever you're collecting a point that is defined as a latitude, the measurement point that we're going to choose is the north if that point is up the equator, and the south if that point is below the equator. From there now, we are also looking at the longitudes. So, okay, so now let us dive into how do you collect points on the surface of the Earth. Okay, so given an example, this diagram we're using. So I've got points A, B, C, and D. Okay, so I'm going to use these points to make you understand how you can collect the points in terms of latitude and also longitudes. Okay, so remember that when you're collecting points on the surface of the Earth, we give it a latitude as a starting point, and then we end with the longitude. Okay, so that we are able to see where that place or country or even just a location is located at. Okay, so I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are really enjoying this video, please make sure you click the subscription button so that you don't miss any single update. Okay, so now let us move on. Okay, so now I've written those defining points that we have, A, B, C, and D, just to help you understand. Okay, so now from that point, how do you collect these points on the surface of the Earth? Okay, so like you have to be very much careful when it comes to collecting the points on the surface of the Earth, because if you don't collect them correctly, okay, then what's going to happen is that everything is going to just fall into the ditch. Okay, it's going to actually fall into a ditch, and everything is bizarre. Okay, so now I've mentioned that the first important thing that you have to do is whenever you're collecting the points, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you do start with the latitude. Now remember, I said the latitude are measured from north or south. Okay, so whenever you're giving it out in terms of a latitude, make sure you state whether it is north or even south. And then when it comes to longitude, make sure that you give it either west or east. Okay, so those are the cardinal points that you have to get. Okay, so when you look at this point A, okay, at this point A, meaning it is pointed that it is on the 20-degree, and then this is the equator. Okay, this is the equator. So anything above this equator is north, and anything below the equator is south. So what's going to happen is that this A is 20. Okay, the A is 20, but is it south or north? Now A is above the equator, so it's going to be north. Okay, so don't forget the degree. Okay, now when you look at this line, okay, this is the longitude. Okay, so the latitude and the longitude, they are actually intersecting at some point. So we actually follow this line which is intersecting in terms of longitude. Okay, so this line is pointed at, which is just 50 degrees east. So it's 50. Okay. So that's a point on A, meaning that's the actual location where A is. And then we come to B, okay, and that B is here. Now, when you look at A and B are just on the same latitude, which is a 20 north. And then we've got to find the longitude, because A is on this side, on the eastern part, and B is on the other side, on the western part. Okay, so you can see that it's pointed at, it's 70 west. So B is 20. And then it has a latitude of who? It has a latitude of what? 70. So it has a longitude of it has a longitude of 70 degrees. Okay, that's our point on B, or rather the location. And then C, when you look at C, now A and C are on the same longitude. So A and C are on the same longitude. Does that make sense? So we understand that it is on the 50 degree east, and it is on the down part. So that is the that is below the equator, and that is southern part. Okay. So C is 30. So you always start with the latitude. Okay. And then we just follow this intersection line, okay, and this is 50. Okay. Now, what about D? Okay, D. So D and C, or rather C and D, they are on the same latitude as 30 degrees south. Okay, so this is gonna be 30 degrees south. Then comma. Now D is on the same longitude as B, so we pick 70 there. So that's how, okay, that's how easy it is for you to collect the points. Of course, for the first time, it's gonna actually be kind of a very, difficult, some mistakes there and there, and yeah, that's okay. Okay, it simply means that you are learning something. Okay, you are learning something, and that's how we keep on understanding even the things that we're having difficulties. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this episode, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, share, and also like. Okay, so you can share to your families and also relatives. Okay, thank you so much, and this is Radical Academy, and remember, watch out for part 2. So part 2 of this episode is gonna be about just now calculating the distance between A and B. So make sure you guys, we are going to be using the same diagram for easier reference, okay, so that I don't confuse you. Yeah, so if you have any questions, please you drop them in the comment section below. And if you're watching from TikTok, you can also WhatsApp me on this line, 0964 4602 18. 0964 4602 18. You're watching me from Facebook. There's a number there. You can chat if you want somebody to teach you and make you understand mathematics, any topic in mathematics. Please, you can also reach out to me on different kind of routes. You can use a messenger, you can use WhatsApp. There's a number there for WhatsApp. You can just comment in the comment section of Facebook. So thank you so much. This is Radical Karim, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.